Everybody, please wait for a bit. We'll be starting in a minute. Okay.
So, good evening, everyone. I think most of them are have joined the class, joined the like session. नेत्रिकमल मेरा आवाज आ रहा है?
आ रहा है हाँ आ रहा है.
हाँ, तो तुम तो वो शेयर कर दोगे ना स्लाइडो वाला?
एक मिनट हाँ.
हाँ हाँ. So as you know, तो तुम लोगों ने तो like last classes में you have like use this thing like slido.com for polls and all. So you can like go to the app and also the website and scan the QR code and go to the poll and show your like answers and give your answer so that we can know that how what is the like what is the answer of those questions that we have prepared for you guys. So you can just go there and put the code and just give the answer so that we can know what are your answers. So good evening, everyone. I am Shayan Devroy. I am currently pursuing BTech and I'm in second year currently. So today is the third day of Blitz 2.0, and we're going to start the part of JavaScript from today. I'm going to teach, not teach, but guide you through the like basics of JavaScript and like what is the history and all, and basic data types and all, basic data structures of JavaScript. So then after that, Netrakumal Bhaiya, your Bhaiya, Netrakumal Bhaiya will guide you after that. So uh, so the if I want to tell about the history of JavaScript, like I'll not go that far about the like some kind of theory part. I'll like show more of the basic data types and data structures and basics of JavaScript. But to throw some light on the like history of JavaScript, it was like invented by Brendan Ike in 1995. So it was taken by ECMA, the foundation, which is known like very well known among developers and all. It took this language and developed the other parts, and one after another version came, and the support of JavaScript language came up one after another. Like first, it was like supported in like older versions of Chrome. Then one after another version, it improved, and many versions after like version 6, it became very popular because the like it was supported in most of the browsers. So after that, the Java boom of JavaScript like came. Like it is well known as the like the soul and brain of web development and all. It is very popular also. So after that, Node.js came. You all know. I think you should know if you want to like go to the path of web development, and you should know about Node.js and all and JavaScript. We will not go that way ahead, but I want to tell. I just wanted to tell the history of JavaScript. So that's it. So we should jump into the code. Like I don't want to like talk more about these theories and all. Let's just get to VS Code and do some coding. So I'm gonna share my screen. जोसु तुम बोल देना, नेत्रकमल तुम बोल देना, हाँ लाइक मैं शो हो रहा है कि नहीं, मैं स्टार्ट करता हूँ. I'm kind of new to this actually, the presenting part of this platform, so that's why. So let me like make a folder first. Is it visible now? My screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I think you all guys know about the VS Code, the like the god of all IDs. According to me, like it is the best ID all around for me. Like it is the easiest to install and all, and there are many extensions that makes it like very useful and like fun to do coding and all. If you want to do coding in Notepad, you can do also, but I want some kind of like environment set up so that I can do coding with like with more concentration and in cooler way. Like so, I'm in a folder like WebLits 2.0. I've created a folder and opened it with VS Code. Then let's just you guys all attended I think the JS, but that will be like far beyond the scope of the session. So I will like use the browser, like it is run by the browser V8 engine and other engines. You all know that browsers come with like engines that run the JavaScript part of the code that that are like shown in the website. So that engine also that compiles the code, JavaScript code, and shows you the result of that. So we will make use of that engine, like our V8 engine for like Chrome, and we'll show the working of the JavaScript language, and all compilation will be done by the engine itself. So at first, I like create a normal boilerplate. You guys know about the boilerplate of HTML, just for like just to show the working of JavaScript. So I have created some random stuff. Let's get started. And yep, one of the most important parts of like how to like inject JavaScript into your HTML code. If you want to like you want to use it in your website and your code, you have to write HTML first, and then you have to inject the JavaScript in that HTML. So how to inject that into your like HTML code? So I have created one index.html file. So how to inject that?
Uh, Shan,
Yep.
Shan,
Yep.
can you increase the font size of your editor?
Okay. Okay. Sure. Now it's visible.
Yes, enough.
Yep. So there are different tags. Yeah, you all know about that. The previous sessions have told like taught you about the different tags of HTML. So there is a tag called script tag. Inside that you can write your JavaScript code. Like it is the like block, JavaScript block that enter JavaScript block the JS engine compiles for you for that HTML page only. So this inside this script code, like you can write any JavaScript and like use the VS Code, VS Code, not VS Code, like Chrome engine to compile that and show you the result. So every language has, like, you know, guys know, you are like studying in first year, so all of you guys like are learning, I think, the CS part, like you are gonna learn or you are learning CS, fundamentals of CS, computer science. So they teach you like C language. So there are many different syntax, like different language of different languages. JavaScript is more like loosely typed, dynamically typed language. So what do I mean by dynamically typed language? If you are learning C, or I think you are going to learn C, and you have some basic knowledge about like some programming language, in C the data types are already defined for variables. You know about variables. So like some normal variable is like storing something into an like identifier and all. Like if you're if you have learned C, you will know that what is variable. So in the dynamically typed language, you can like, you don't have to like define the type of the variables every time. Like you don't have to, right? So JavaScript is also that, Python is also that. So it gives you like some kind of freedom, and like it is easier to write code here, I think. For me, like it is easier to write code for me in JavaScript and Python rather than like C, because that is like strongly typed language. You have to like strictly typed language, so you have to like define all the data types what you are going to use in that variable. Like you have to, if you want to use integer, you have to define int a is equal to 5, or int string a is equal to hello, quote inside code. But here you don't have to like define those data types. So it is like dynamically typed language. You can define any variable define any data type into any variable. So there is no issue. So defining variables here, like you have to follow some rules like syntax, and you can use three types of like you have to types of ways they are there in JavaScript to define variables. One is var, one is, I have to write like var, one is const, and one is let. So what are the like uh, different things that I defined, like var, const, let? What is the use of those? What are the use of these things in JavaScript, and variable definition that we have to see. So var is like use. You can use it everywhere. Like if you want to define where var is a is equal to 5, then you can use it everywhere. Like inside this JavaScript code, you can use that everywhere. It is like global in C or C++. It can be accessed in every block of code. Like if I want to like print this, so in I forgot to tell, like if you want to print anything, so you have to type console log. So if you want to print a stuff, like I want to print var a is equal to 5, so I have to print the value of 5. So I have to like type console log. So that will print the data, print the like a variable a like 5. So for that, I have like defined var a is equal to 5 and console log a. So I have to run it. So I'll open it with live server. So it is displayed here. Now to check like where it is printed in the console part of your browser of the web page. So to access the console part, so that you can visualize the output of the JavaScript code, you have to like right click of the page that you have like written code for. So right click and then inspect, and then some kind of scary things will come up for the first beginners, for the beginners it's kind of scary, but it don't get like overwhelmed by this. So if you like expand it a little bit more, you'll see the HTML code that you have written here, and you can see the console part. So this is the console part where all the things of like JavaScript, the JavaScript part are printed. Like if I have printed console log, and anything you have printed like using console log, that will be showed here, and all the errors will be showed here also. So here is an error. Why this error? Let me check. Okay, I think this is the error of some kind of favicon icon, and we can ignore it. Like it doesn't have any favicon icon, that's why it's showing this error. We can ignore that, but you can see that it is printing 5. So it is printing 5 because we have defined var a is equal to 5. So we have defined a is equal to 5, and we have printed console log a. So it will print the value of a, that is 5. So that's the way of like defining a variable. So it's like it is the easiest way, kind of like first way you can say. But what is the like, use of that const and let? You can ask the question like, then why should we use const and let? So var, as the name suggests, like var is used like variable purpose. Like you can change the value also after that. So if I type a is equal to again hello, so if I type again console log a again, let's see what happens. So it is writing 5 first, then hello. So the value of a is changed, and you can see like I have changed the data type also. Like it was integer before, but it is like string now. So that's the use of like dynamically typed language. It doesn't like restrict the type of the data type of the variable. You can type like you can use any data type everywhere. Like so you have defined 5 at first, then you have defined hello at like string at the next line. In the next line, and it is changing the value of a and printing that in the console. So that's like var. You can change the value as says variable. So it can vary. But for const, as the name suggests, const is like you can't change the value. Like if you are defining b is equal to 5 in console log, let's see, console log b, let's just change the value. It will make some confusion. So it is showing 6, but if I like change the value again, here you see like assignment to constant variable. Like you can't assign another another value to a const variable. So here don't get confused like I am using const and variable together, but I'm just saying that because like it is the const type data, the variable is const, so you can't change the value of that b, like that variable b, because you have defined it as a const. So it is like used very rarely. I think like many of the times we use var and let, but const is used in very specific cases, but it is very useful in many cases. Like you have to use it in many cases. In that cases you can't use like var, let and all, because it gives some restrictions so that we can use it in very specific cases. For let, what is the like funda with let? So if you want to define let, like it is defined in one block of code. What do we mean by one block of code? Like if you write a function, like I don't want to like explain about the function. It will be explained by Netrakamal. But if I want to define a function, like just assume that this is a function I'm defining in function. Don't want to like you don't have to like understand every part of this. I'm just defining a function like foo, and I'm defining a variable. Uh, use C and use 7 for it, and console log. C, and I have to call it also. So I'm calling the function here. That's it. If you know C, you can like get some basic idea of this, like how am I defining a function and how am I calling it. So if I want to like reload, it is not printing the value. It is not. It's printing or printing not printing the value. Check. Okay. I have to like remove this line. It's causing some error. Yep. So it was causing the error. So it is not running after that line. So you can see like I have defined the value C using let, and I have printed the value C using console.log.c, console.log C, and I'm running the function. So it is running the function. It is defining the 7 and then defining C is 7 and then printing it. But if you want to print it, like I am removing this console log from here and I am using this in this line console log C. If I want to like check it, it will throw an error. What is the like meaning of this error? Like, so as I have said, like it is defining one block of code. The function is a block of code, open curly braces and closed curly braces. So this is a block of code. So it is defined in only in here, this block of code. You can like use it inside this function only, inside this block only, because it is used. It is this variable is defined using let. You can't define it. You can like use this variable C outside this block of code. This is the use of let. But for var, if I change this to var or const, it will not show the error. Okay. Let me check. For var, you can like define it outside and you can use it everywhere. But for let, if you want to define it C, D, and 8, and you want to access it here, you can't access it. So this is the like, what is the error actually? Okay, I'm repeating the mistake again. So that's why. So for let, you can't access it outside the function because it is defined inside the function only. That's the use of let. So let can't be used outside a block of code, but var can be outside a block of code defined and accessed in var, outside the block of code. That's the use of const, var, and let. So there are many other things like conditional statements, for loops. I'm gonna like show you the basics of those things also. So let's jump right back into that part. Like, so for conditional statements, you can use like we should like change this. So if you have basic knowledge of programming language and you have learned some any programming language, you know like what is conditional statement, like some if else statement, like if you want to do, if this is true then do this. We use these kind of things in many work in our day-to-day life. So you have to use that in our codes also in many part, like in most of the things we have to use that thing, like if else statements and conditional statements. So for that, how to write those like conditional statements. So if I define like if I want to do some work, let me think of an function that can give the proper use of conditional statement. So let's just var a is equal to 5. So I'm saying that if var a, like var a is 5. So I am going to define a conditional statement that if a is equal to 5, then print hello 5. If a is not is equal to 5, then print a is not equal to 5. So if I do this, so so what it will do, I will expect that it will see the value of a. If it is equal to 5, then it will print console, like it will print to the console hello 5, or otherwise else it will print it is not 5. So let's check this out. It is printing or not. Yep, it is printing 5. So if I change the value to 4, it shouldn't print the value. Okay. Is it will print it? It's not 5. Okay. I'm kind of confused right now. I don't know why. So it is not 5. So that's the use of like conditional statement if else. Another thing is you can define another how to define multiple conditional statements in one block in one time. Like at one time, how to define multiple condition, how to add multiple conditions to one if else condition, like one conditional statement. So else if, like if I want to say like if a is equal to 4, then print hello 4. Else if is equal to 3, hello 3. Else console.log, it's nothing. Let's check this out. So what it is saying that if a is equal to 5, then hello 5. Otherwise, if in the previous part of code we're saying that if a is equal to 5, then print hello 5. Otherwise, print it's like it is nothing. I was using it's nothing. It's not 5. I was saying that it was not 5. But if I want to do another thing, like another if statement, except that, like if I want to say like if a is equal to 5, then print 5. If a is equal to 4, then print 4. If a is equal to 3, then print 3. Otherwise, print nothing. It's nothing. So how am I going to write that code? So this is the thing. Like if you have to use else if otherwise if this is equal to 4, then print hello 4. Otherwise, if a is equal to 3, then print hello 3. Otherwise, if nothing is like matching with the conditions above condition, you have to print it's nothing. So right now a is equal to 4, it should print hello 4. So it is printing hello 4. So it is going according to our plan. But it is kind of hectic. You can see like else if you have to write one thing one after like again and again and again, and it can be like very hectic for us to write this kind of thing again and again. We have to like, follow dry. If you guys know about dry, I think dry, do not repeat yourself. It is very popular among like developers in developers in general. We don't want to repeat one thing like every time. We have to like reduce the size of the code and may write it like very efficiently. So there is a thing called switch statement. I think switch statement. So we can, how can I use this to optimize this part of code? So let's write. So they just look at the syntax. It's very easy to understand. Like JavaScript syntax is very like easy to understand because it is very close to our day-to-day language, like English language. You can like remember those easily. Like after you do like 1 to 2 hour, you use this type of things like if else, switch case, and variables, and like normal prints, console log, and play with the code. You will remember all the things like how to write those. So I want to write that we, what was that? If a is equal to 4, not that. That's it. Then console log hello hello 4, it was right. Hello 4, this is 3, console hello 3, and default will be anything is there like it's 5 console log. So what is it is doing? Like it is taking the expression a. Here we define the expression like what why we are going to like evaluate. Like what is the condition that, what is the like main expression that is going to decide the output of that part of code. So we are saying that if we take a, and if a is equal to 5, then print hello 5. If a is equal to 4, then print hello 4. If a is equal to 3, then print hello 3. Default. What is the meaning of default? If nothing like becomes true, then it will print it's nothing. Like this part of code, this bunch, like this block of code, this line of code. I think I should say this line of code will this line of code will run if nothing is like true. So let's check this. What is it showing? So this is okay. Default default will print the thing that is, it is the default case. Like if it is not true also, and if it is true also, it will print the thing it is nothing. So it is printing it's nothing and hello 4 and hello 3. Hello 3, what is, why it is printing hello 3? It shouldn't print. Oh, sorry. I've done something wrong here. To put it right, or otherwise will run nothing. Yep. It was like showing the error because you have to print you have to put break after case each case, so that it is following one case, then another case. It can be used as a else if statement. If else if, then if it is like used as not else of that condition, like that we used it in other, like previously, using if else if. So if a is equal to 5, then it will print hello 5, then break, then it will come out of this block of code. Then if is equal to 4, then it will print hello 4, then it will break out of this code. Break means that like it will come out of this part of code. If it is 3, then it will print 3. Otherwise, if it's nothing is true, then it will print the default code, that is it's nothing. So we can use it like we you can use it in many cases. Like if you want to skip the part of like writing more and more if else statements, then you can use switch case, and you can get the like benefit from this uh, switch statement. So that's the part of switch statement. After that we can like jump right back into the other parts like for loop and operators like ternary operators and all. I think you have like understood the most of the things here. If you don't understand, if you haven't understood everything, you can like type it in the chat so that I can know that you are understanding or not. I'm not actually seeing. I was not seeing the messages. Actually, I forgot to like for switch statements. It's like it is very rarely used. I like it is most of the time you'll use like if else if statements in JavaScript, but in rare cases you have to use like switch case statement to like get out of the like if else statements. Like you have to write more and more if else statement. If you want to escape that, then you can use switch statement. So that's why I like forgot this the break thing. That's why sorry from my side. Actually, I forgot that thing. So I think it's clear now that why haven't I used break statement there. Any other question? So I think I should jump into loops. So I put this comment. So if you want to repeat one thing, like if you know about some normal, some basic about programming languages, you will know about like for loops and loops and all. So if you want to do one thing repeatedly, one thing repeatedly, you don't want to write it many times, and you have to like write it in iterate one thing. So you can use for loop, while loop, and other loops, other like do while, for loop, and while loop. These three loops are there. You can like use that and get the benefit from that thing. So I'm going to show you the part for loop part. So how to define that? So if I define for var or var I is equal to 0, then it's less than 5, and I plus plus, and console log. It is kind of similar to very close to like C++ and C. I think C and C++ guys will understand this is very easily. So it is printing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to like I have defined. So first I have defined the starting value of this thing like var. I have defined var. So if you want to define any variable, you have to use var let const. Const you can't use because it's changing the value. So you can use var here. So I have used var, and then I is equal to 0, then I less than 5, and I plus plus. What is then I less than 5? This is the part where you have to define the like breaking point of that for loop. Otherwise, it will run like for ages. It will not run like for ages, but the compiler will stop working. So you have to define the like you have to define the condition where it should stop the for loop. So I have defined like I less than 5, that is it will run until 5, like less than 5, 1 0 1 2 3 4. It will run up until that, then 5, then I plus plus. That means it will increment itself, I is equal to I plus 1. So first it will print 0. It will start from 0 as I have defined I is equal to 0. First start from 0 0 1 2 3 4. So it is printing 0 1 2 3 4. So you can use this in this way, and it is used most of the this thing is used in many like array accessing parts, like elements of array. That part will be taught by Netrakamal bhaiya. He will teach like more of this, more of the use, more use of this for loop and while loop thing. So I'll just show you the basics so that you can get hold of it. For while loop, how to define while loop? So define a, right? a is less than 5. Take this code from here. One minute. One call came actually. Okay. Some issue is going on actually. What's going on? Okay. Okay. What is right? What the hell is going on? Okay, some kind of error was showing that like scared me like very much. So I reloaded the stuff. It happens sometimes. So what it is doing, like I have, so for loop I have to, I can define it under the like parentheses, like var I is equal to 0, then I have to write the state condition that where it should stop, and then I have to write the like operator, like how should we increase or change the value of that variable. So for while loop, we have to define like var a is equal to 0 outside of the like while block, and we have to define the condition where should we stop. Should it stop, then we have to like change the value. We can change the value here. So I am doing what I am doing here. A is equal to 0. It will stop at a less than 5. It will work until a is less than 5. Then it will stop. If it is if a is greater than or equal to 5, and I'm incrementing the value is equal to a is equal to a plus 5. So it will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that in 4 it will stop, because after that it will become equal to 5, and it will stop here, because I am showing, see, I am writing that a is less than 5. So it was less than 5, so it will stop and it will come out of this loop. So as you can see, it is printing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think I have taken, I have 10 more minutes to continue my thing. So after that we can wrap up. I think Netrakamut, you can start. I think I've
Yes.
completed.
Identify IIL.
Okay, Is it okay, Netrakamal? Actually, the voice is coming kind of low. I think the internet issue is there.
Hello, hello.
Okay, okay. I can hear you.
Am I audible?
Yep, yep.
Okay, then uh, you stop sharing. Let me.
Hmm.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, yes. Screen is visible.
Okay, then. So I'm Netra Kamal Borwa, and I'll be taking explaining function arrays and arrays, strings, and objects in JavaScript. So let's get started. What are functions? A function is a required piece of code that performs a particular task or calculates a required or particular value whenever it is called, and it can be reused, and it is basically a reusable piece of code. So to declare a function or to define a function in JavaScript, we need to use the function keyword like this, and we need to give it an identifier, like let's say sum or call me. I mean, uh, so this is the syntax to define a function in JavaScript, and we can uh, let's console something out here, like call me has been called. So now, and let's try to call this function or use this function in our code. So if I call it to call a function in JavaScript, we need to we need to uh, okay. Uh, so at first, like the way Cheyenne did, he added a script tag, and he wrote the code uh, in Ja in he wrote the code inside the script tag. But I am going to link a JavaScript file in this script tag. Uh, this is doing nothing but the this code has been injected in the script tag, so and is used by the HTML. So this is the same thing. So let me save that file and you can see for yourself. So and to call a function, you need to just specify the identifier and then use parentheses to call a function. That's just like in any other popular programming language. So you can see that call me has been called. It has been printed. So let's see, and so for a function to and we can do it many times. So we can call it like 5 times. So the call me has been printed will be printed five times. So and we can also pass parameters in functions like for example a and b, and let's change the name of the function as sum, because I'm going to add those two and display the output here. Okay, so now let me console log a plus b. So this function is going to add and print the result. So now if I call sum, just like I call me, so this, wait, not a number. Oh yes, right, because I haven't given any value to these parameters. Now I have to specify some values to these parameters. So let's say 2 and 3, 2 and 3. So 5, and 2 plus 3 is 5. We all know that. So we can pass parameters like this in functions, and we can get print the value like this, and we can also return this value here. If I say return a plus b, this function will return the uh, sum of a and b, uh, in this from this function. So if we console it out like sum 2 comma 3, just like the previous one, you can do it. See, so 5 is coming, it has been printed, and 2 plus 3 is 5, and normal. So, but if you only call sum here, nothing will happen. It's going to return, but we cannot, we will not be able to store it anywhere or print. So if I do this, nothing will be printed. So now, uh, let's see in another way of defining a function or storing it in a variable. Okay, so let's see. And one more thing, whenever we declare or define a function in JavaScript, it it becomes a variable. We can use it just like, I mean, not just like any other variable, but it can, we specifically called it an object, but for simplicity purpose, I'm going to use variable. So now we can also define it like this. So let me comment this out, comment it out, and response sum. We can store it in like this. So that's why I'm using. So what's happening here is I'm making a variable sum, and I'm defining that variable as a function, uh, like the previous one, like this. Return a plus b, and this will work same as the top one. So let's do in 3. Let's oh, sorry, I have to console it out because I am uh, returning it in the function sum. So let's see here. Yes, we are getting 5 here, right? Now there is another way. There is another way to do this. Let me show you. We can do. There is an error because I haven't declared sum here or specified sum. Now I use sum, and this is called an arrow function. This is the same thing, but it is a little quicker. So I use this, and looks a bit cooler to me. That's why it's the same thing. We can specify the parameters in this parenthesis, and we use this arrow symbol to. I mean, it is just replacing this function keyword. You can say that, but we use a equal symbol and a greater than symbol to uh, specify this arrow symbol, and we define and we write the definition of the function here. So we are going to return a plus b. So now if I save it, 5 is has been printed. So this sum function is working fine, just like the previous two. So now one more thing, as I said that in any function in JavaScript is a variable or object. We can also pass functions. We can also pass functions in on other functions, just like let's see. Uh, from now on, I'm going to use this arrow function. I'm not going to write this function keyword here. Okay, so let's see. Constant print, constant uh, function, or let me show you this first. Wait. And console.log sum 2 comma 3 2 comma 3. Right. So what is happening here, that I am defining a function print, which is printing the result of the function sum. Okay, uh, function this sum, and I can use this function in this function I can use the sum function in the print function, because the scope of the sum is outside the function print. Also, that's why I am able to use the function sum. So let's call the function print now and see what happens. See, the 5 has been printed, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So the print function is working. Now, if I want to pass a function here, if I want to pass a function as parameter, as the parameter of the print function, I can just specify this parameter as func, and provide the sum function here. And I can call the func here. So the same thing will happen. This is exactly calling the same function sum, but I am passing this in this print function rather than calling it from rather than calling because the scope that because the scope allows me to call it here. So you can see 5 has been printed here. So this is also we are able to pass the function in another function. So this sums up the function part of in JavaScript. Now let's move on to arrays. So array is a one-dimensional data structure uh, which uses which is used to store a collection of elements. And in JavaScript, we can store any type of elements in that collection, which is in which each element is identified by a unique index or key. So let's see how we declare a array in JavaScript. So let's use no not content. Let's use let us declare a variable as array, and I'm going to define it as array. Define it as an array. So to define it as an array, we're going to use square brackets. Okay. So this is an empty array. With this literal, we are going to specify that this array is an this variable arr is an array, empty array. So if you console it out, uh, let's see log console it out, you can see there's nothing. The length of this array is 0. You can see the length of this array is 0, and there is no element in this array. If you want to add elements, we are just going to write those elements in those between those square brackets separated by commas, like this 1 2 3. So you can see here the length is 3 and the elements are 1 2 and 3, right? Wait, okay, so 1 2 and 3, and you can also include anything in this array. So like I am going to say I am going to write a string here. So the string can be stored in with the numbers, or a floating point. Let's say this. You can see here. Is it visible, everyone? Right. I mean, okay. So it basically means that we can store anything in arrays. We can also store another array in this array, like a comma, an array, uh, uh, 7 8 9, like this. So you can see here is another array which is inside this previous array. You can see, like if I am at index 5, it is another array. You can see here 7 8 9, like I have specified here. So this is how 2D arrays are also implemented in JavaScript. So let me clear this out, and let's see how 2D arrays we I mean we define 2D arrays or multi-dimensional arrays in JavaScript. So if we use array here, we can store an array inside those array inside those empty string, like this. So if I say 1 comma 2 comma 3, 4 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6, and 7 comma 8 comma 9. So, so in this way, 2D arrays can be visualized, or and exactly like this way. In this way, we can also nest inside those arrays, store more arrays instead of 1 2 3s in those arrays. So you can see here, this is a 2D array, like 0 1 2 3 and 0 and so for this lecture we are going to use only one-dimensional arrays, and we will see other methods in this array. So let's just go back to our go back to this so let's just go back to this simple array with just 3 elements, which are 1 2 and 3. Now now if I now there are a lot of inbuilt function in JavaScript, JavaScript. So we will be able to push an element at the end of the array, or delete an element from the end, delete the last element of the array. So, and we are just going to discuss those here. So let's see what we're going to do. So I'm going to just console out this array and uh, like res. Okay, I mean let, make this let and res. So if I use this array and if I use the dot operator, I'm using the dot operator to access the methods or functions which are inbuilt in the array in JavaScript. Okay, by using this, I can VS Code is helping me already. See that I can find a lot of function here, but we are going to just discuss some of them, like push. So we can also read here what it does, what this function does to, or how it manipulates this array. Uh, this so this push function appends new elements to the end of an array and returns the new length of the array. Okay. So now, what is the length of the array? And we can also find the length using array dot length. And I think this is a property, not a function. This is a property. You can see, right? If I open this, this is a property or a key of the array. So if I use this and if I want to console it out, like console.log res. So here you can see the length of the array is 3, right? Now if I want, if let's get back to our push function. So this appends the new element to the end of the array and returns the new length of the array. So I think this self-explanatory. Let's see what it is. Now if I want to add 4, and we need to give the give the element that you want to uh, add to the end of the array as the param. Okay. So if I if I if I save it, now let's see here, the new length of the array is now 4. So the 4 has been printed, which is returned by the push function, and we are having our new array as 1, 2, 3, and 4. We can also push anything like a string here, asdf, like this, and this will be as similar as the previous previous time. Yeah. And now, and similarly, we have also a pop function which is used to remove the last element from the array, and it returns the last element, uh, and we can store that in a variable. So and you can also, if you want to read about it, you can also hover over it, and uh, it will uh, it will just give you a brief description of what it does and what are the parameters. So it has no parameters because it is only just removing the last element of the array. So if I save it, see, uh, the the last element was 3, which has been removed, and the new array is now of size 2, and it only contains 1 and 2. So so I think this pop function is clear. So now we have the unshift function. So this unshift function, what this unshift function does is, you can see here, inserts a new element at the start of an array and returns a new and returns the length of the array. It is basically similar to the push functions. The only difference is that it inserts the element at the beginning of the array rather than at the end. And let's say I'm going to add 9 at the beginning of the array. If I save it now, the new length is 4, right? Because after adding 9, the new length will be 4. And we have a new array with the first element as 9, which has been added just now, and the rest of the array. Okay, so and exactly and exactly similar to the pop function, we have another function which is called shift. In shift function, I think if I hover over it, you will see that it removes the first element from an array and returns it. exactly like shift, but the only difference is that it is uh, removing that element from the beginning of the array. So if I call this function using parentheses, you can see the first element is 1, and the and it has been removed, and then we only have our array of length 2 and with elements 1 and 2 and 3. So after this method, we also can sort our array uh, using this using the inbuilt functions like let's see, and the sort doesn't return anything. That's why I'm going to erase this. Let's see. Let's use an array of something a larger array. Let's 3, 2, 5, 1, 7, 7, 10, 9. So so the length of the array is 6. Now, if I want to sort the array in ascending order, I'm just going to call the sort function. So, uh, so you can see sort the array in place. Method mutates the array in instance. This is a little complicated, but this function is just sorting the elements in the array. If I call this like that, and if I save it, you can see. Let me show you the before and after. But log now you can see that the before sorting the elements of the array is 3, 2, 5, 1, 7, and 9, and after sorting in ascending order the the elements in the array are 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Now there are a lot of functions in the array for array in JavaScript, and we can also join two arrays using like if I want to define, let's define two arrays like array 1 and then array 2. uh, 12, 54, 54. Let's see how to join these two arrays. To join these arrays, we are going to use the concat method, which is going to return us a new array by joining these two arrays. Let's see how it is done. Like let result array concat. You can see here what it does: combines two or more arrays in this method, returns a new array without modifying any existing array. So it is going to return an array. Okay. So now if I want to uh, concat these two arrays, I'm just going to specify this. And now now what this function does is that it is appending or joining array 1 array 1 uh, sorry, it is joining array 2 after and array 1, and array 1 comes first, and basically it is the array 2 is, if this function is joining the array 2 behind the array 1. So let's just see and print the result here. Oh, sorry, yeah, here it is. So you can see here the two arrays has been joined, and then the result is good here. So you can see here after joining these two arrays, like the length is 6, and uh, the elements are 2, 3, 2, 5, 1, 7, 9, 12, 34, 51. So this is how we join, and we can join multiple arrays like this. So but you just need to like give arrays one after another. You can give any number of arrays after this, so it will can join them. Or this is there is an and there is another method which is to retrieve a sub array of from this array, which is and that method is uh, slice. So to get an array, get a sub array, with this function, we just need to specify the starting and the ending index of the we just need to specify the starting and the ending index plus one of the required subarray. So uh, if I let's see if I want the array the array of size 3 from the index 1 to index 4 in index index 1 to 3, sorry, till index 3. So if so then I will specify uh, 1 here, and then I'm going to uh, specify the index ending index plus 1, so 3 plus 1 4. So if I'm going to print that here, you can see the uh, 2 3 4 1 has been printed. So uh, this is how the slash method works, and we can also uh, also uh, access these elements using by indexing, like using this array 1 0. Let me show you. So I'm going to use this here. Like we have, if I want to index or retrieve or access any one of the elements of the array, array one, we can just write the identifier of the array, and then we use square brackets and specify the index number. Then we will be able to access that value at the value at that index. So if I save it, so at index 0 of array 1, the value is 3, so 3 has been printed. And if I want to like say want to access the index 4, which is 7, here which is 7, the 7 has been printed. And we can also print or get a sum of this array using a for loop, like Cheyenne showed us, like this: array 1 dot length I plus plus. And we can console it out like this. Console the values of the array 1 like this. Okay, yeah, I haven't wrote console log. So you can see the elements of the array has been printed like this, or we can use a for loop like this to manipulate the elements of the array as well. Or if we want to change this, change the value at that index, we can also use this kind of methods. Like if I want to change the first index of the array 1 to 1, then I can do it by specifying specifying that index, and using the assignment operator to change it. Like see, and if I see the first index of that array 1 is 1. So now I think this sums up up what array is in JavaScript. So let's move on to strings, which are which are re- uh, which are really similar to arrays. Uh, and strings are a collection of or a sequence of characters, and it is uh, sequence of characters, and we can also use these like concat, slice methods on them. So to declare a string in JavaScript, we just need to use the we just need to declare a variable and then define it as a string. To do this, we can use quotes. We double quotes or single quote doesn't matter, both works. But I use I mostly use double quotes, so I'm going to use that. So like uh, other. Okay, so here s. So this is a string. So this is a string which is a collection of character, and that can be defined using this double quotes. Now, if I want to print this uh, print this string, I can just use console log s, and the brother has been printed here. So so let's see how, and we can also access a single character in in strings also by using these square brackets, just like in array that I have shown you. And we can also let's see how to find the length of the array. We just need to use dot over length, and length has been printed. The length is 7 because it contains 7 characters. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So now if I want to access a particular character from this string, we can use it. If I want to access the first character, we're going to write 0 in between the square brackets. Yeah, you can see b has been printed. If I want to access the third character, so I'm going to write the index as 2. So the third character will be print, or that I'm able to access it uh, using these square brackets. So in here this strings also have these functions like concat and slice. So if we do this, if we use the dot operator, this will give a lot of information to us. And one more thing, we can also use car at function to return the character at that index, but I think square bracket works much better. So I mean, it is easier to write in Ruby. So we can concat this string, concat strings like this. Also, like let's store it in this s dot concat. Here is the function. So and I want to add bhai here. So if I want to now, I'm going to print the print res. So see here, brother bhai has been printed. So but a cooler or a much faster way to do this is just to use plus operator, plus symbol here, and right, and it is going to work exactly in the same way, like this. So in strings we can use this plus operator to concatenate strings. So there is also there's also a thing called template literals in string, which is used to which is used to make concatenation or injecting variables in a string easier. So let's see, if I want to, let's say if I have a function here, constant uh, query query. So name and age. I use this, and these are the function parameters: name and age. Console log log name is we're going to do this uh, is age where old. So if you call this function query name, like like into 100. Okay, so if I use this, all right, let's give some space here, like this. So now if I want to call this like Chintu is 100 years old. So now if I want to console log this, this has become a little tedious, but a simpler or preferred way is to do it like uh, like uh, to use by using template literal. So let me show you. So template editors are these things. So these are called backticks. This is the button below the escape button in your on your keyboard. So yeah, so with this, I can and I can inject variables in the string, like and I'm going to use the dollar symbol, and we're going to use the dollar symbol to do this. So a dollar and a dollar symbol and followed by curly braces, which is going to include the variable of variable include the variable with that value with a value. So is uh, again here whole. This is going to do the same thing like I have saved it now. So let's see. As you can see, Chintu is 100-year-old, but this is a bit cleaner way to do it. Okay, so these are template editors, and we can inject JavaScript variables here like this. So now let's move on to objects here. So objects in JavaScript are basically key value pairs. Uh, key value pairs, just like a map. Uh, so to declare a, a JavaScript object like let's say person, it is an object, and and basically in programming we use objects to define real life or kind real life things, so that we can apply programming to uh, solve that solve those problems. So let's say person name. So this is the name here is the key of of a value. So and the value could be anything like an array, a string, a number, anything. So let's do a string here like Chintu again. So age, and these are and like this. Wait a minute. We need to separate those key value pairs with commas here, commas. Uh, and let's say age is, I mean, 100 again. Then uh, and let's say hobbies is and we are going to use an array for this because there could be multiple hobbies. So like uh, like drawing, singing, etc. Okay, so like I said, these values could be anything, or these values could be other uh, uh, I mean these values could be his uh, these values could be anything, and even objects also. We can define objects inside objects also. So like if I want to like let's say if I want to store Chintu's dimensions, like height, uh, height and like height 6 in feet, let's say, and then weight. I mean, this is not dimension by, well, it will do. It will in cases, let's say for 40. So we can use we can define objects inside on the other objects, and you can do this nesting as many times as well. I can define object in here also, and object in. So let's console this object out and see what are its member what it is it looks like. So here is the object. Uh, uh, with here is the object, you can see here with name Chintu, age 100, hobbies arrays, hobbies, which is an array of length 2. You can see here. We can open hobbies here, like drawing, singing. We are able to store this information in a single object. So, and we can use this object or pass this object in any function, uh, uh, or we can manipulate or change any values, and we can also access these values using the dot operator in dot operator and by specifying the identifier of the object. Let's say I want to I want the name of the that person. So we're going to use person dot name. If I want to do that, so into here I'm accessing the name of the name the value of the key name here. So which is person dot name, and I can also access person dot hobbies here like this. And this is an array, which is an array of size 2 drawing singing. And, we can also define, or we can also add new properties or new new key value pairs to this person object in runtime also. So let's say if I want to add another value as uh, say surname, name and last name. Let's say last name last name is Roy. So if I want to now if I want to access the if I want to view the person here, you can see we have added one more property or key value pair, last name Roy here. So you can also specifically access this name as by using the dot operator in the last name key like this, right? And to delete a property of a object, we use the delete keyword. Like I want to delete hobbies. Okay, so delete person dot hobbies. So if I want to now if I console it out, console person out, we can see the hobby property has been deleted. and and uh, and this is how we delete properties or a particular key value pair in an object. And we can also define not only objects but functions here also, and we can call them. So if I want to uh, uh, assign a function, if I want to make a function here, I will may define a function here, and these functions are called methods. These functions are called methods in an object. So I'm going to use the arrow function notation here like this. But actually, I forgot to give a separate it with comma. So be careful, be mindful of that. So if I want to now define this function as console log. So starts running. And now I can call this function by using the dot operator here, person dot run, and I call this function like this. You can see here I'm defining this function in this person object, and then I'm calling this function which is printing the start running. So this is the same function that we learned at the start of the class of the session. Not I mean, I have taught you this at the beginning. So now uh, now we can also pass in parameters like this also, just like we did in did before, like a plus b. I want to specify like 4 and 5, so 9. And without using the dot over, I cannot access the this run function. So that's why we can define functions in objects. So I think this is all about functions, arrays, strings, and objects. I think this concludes today's session. And I hope everyone understood and learned. That's why thank you. If you have any doubts, you can write it in the chat box. Manipulate the DOM elements and more about JavaScript. So be there, please.